Anyways, welcome back to Seki Torture's Knickknack, volume like 7.
Was this one high art, Seki?
Not quite, but it is certainly one of it is more unique than some of the stuff I've given you. I think we can
I
both
know for
agree.
once it technically wasn't an isekai, or it wasn't an
Yeah,
isekai at all, not even technically.
yeah, it is both neither an isekai nor is it primarily a romance, which quite frankly is new.
Amazing the standards we have now.
Yeah, so in my quest to expose you to everything of this type that I possibly can, we've got a new book today. Knick-Knack will hold it up since he still has my copies. It's called A Stepmother's Marchen,
Get it
or A
closer to the camera
Stepmother's
there.
Tale.
Angle it so the light maybe reflects a little bit better. There we go.
We could read the title. Anyways, it's called A Stepmother's Tale. The first volume just came out in English. And I do mean like just came out in English. This book arrived like just a couple days before I gave it to you to read, which was about a week ago. It is scheduled to have some more books coming out in English, so it will not stop per se. But yeah. So the premise of this book, the plot, is a little bit different than most of these kind of what were we? There was a word for the transmigration, but it's not trans.
I
Yeah,
do think it carries
transmigration.
some of the tropes.
It does. But the plot starts slightly different. So we're not starting with like a love story between or a tragic love or a murder. Well,
Thank
kind
God.
of a murder, but she's the stepmother, right? She didn't. There's no man. Her husband's dead. The children aren't hers, and she does die, and then is kind of brought back in time to when her husband has just died, and she's hosting the funeral.
Worth mentioning there that she's not just a stepmother. The father of the children she's raising was also kind of a cradle robber in this situation.
I think there's some nuance to that.
Maybe a bit, but wasn't
Um,
there was a pretty big age gap there.
there's a very large age gap, but as far as we're aware, nothing actually happened between them.
No.
And really, this is her story. This is her living on after her husband in name, I assume, husband's death with his children. So, how did you feel about this? Because it did kind of step outside of the general realm of what I've been giving you.
I mean, I liked it well enough. I did kind of like some of the parts that were like, oh, we've read this 5 times now. Were a little like, like the the reliving a rough situation because after she gets hit, that we've seen that enough at this point.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't always isekai, I think we've even
Mm-hmm.
done one where the main character wasn't an isekai,
Mm-hmm.
or a transmigration character. But there still was elements of that there because another I don't remember which one it was.
Mm-hmm.
But but besides that, I did like this one because this one does deal a little bit more than some of the other ones we've done with the not court politics. They're not royals. They're just rich people,
They're
nobles.
nobles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they're
Powerful
not like
nobles.
we haven't delved into or fallen into the no. We're talking straight up royalty and dealing with the royal family yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that. It kind of like it's a different type of politicking than like royal court politicking. Um it's the kind of like the knives out kind of shit where it's like rich people dealing with inheritance, and that has in its own right is entertaining because it's a different type of wow, you guys are just terrible people and you pretended to care about our family for so long.
It is. The aunt and the uncle are just
They're
chef's
vile.
kiss. I hate them with every bone in my body.
I love that they managed to finagle a carriage after towards the end. Like they barely got a carriage out of that.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, you are not winning here. We love this. Good for her. Good for the little upstart.
And her relationship with her stepchildren is interesting because everyone it seems like everyone knows that it wasn't really a romantic relationship between her and their father, and she could like I think she's younger than some of them. She
She's
might
not
not be.
younger than any of them, but I think she's only a few years older than the oldest one. because because
Yeah.
I think that the oldest son, he has not reached his age of majority, but she has. That's why she's married. So I think she's maybe somewhere between 16 and 19, and he's probably 13 to 15.
Okay.
I
But yeah, she's not
think.
much older than them, and you can see where that like, you do feel that tension. I don't know. I feel like they glossed over it just a little bit. Like the oh, we actually care about you and don't want you to leave this entire time. I do feel like we glossed over that a tiny bit.
Well, I think maybe that's because, you know, for the kids, it's less of a, we truly love you and don't want you to leave, and more of a, so many people have left us already. Don't you abandon us too, or you'll just be proving everyone right.
Hmm.
I mean, these kids have had their mother die and then their father die. That sucks, and their aunt and uncle are not great.
Yeah, yeah.
They're hot garbage, to be quite frank.
Um, then of course there's the other type. We have the rich man's politicking. Now we have the poor man's politicking. We've got like old poor family seeing you successful, like, hey, give me a little bit of that.
Yeah, let me get in on that. Let
We
me
didn't
extort you for some money.
Yeah, we didn't get too far into that in this book, but like that was
No.
in like that's not something I think we've seen in any of these yet. Because this is very
No.
unique to this story.
Because in general, most of the stories we're reading, the woman usually comes from an affluent enough family to not need that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the first one I've read where it's kind of impoverished nobles like seeking a way out. There are definitely a few more, but they haven't made it to print yet. And I'm not going to force you to read a deluge of like 100 more of these. I'm sticking myself to what is available in print. And even then, I have not pulled everything. Like, there are certain things I'm just not having you read because I don't really read them. So, I I'm curious to where this story goes. So I've read much further ahead, but I have not finished it. It is finished. It is completed. I think it completed earlier this year or late last year, in the webtoon, and I have been I haven't been spoiled for the ending, but I've seen some images from the end.
I feel like we're moving to like there's clearly a conspiracy going on. They're like her death was not an accident.
No, and I did not get far enough in the story to originally to answer that question myself. So for me, that too is a mystery still.
But my bigger question here is why? Like she was
Yeah.
already stepping out of the picture here.
Yeah, like why would they need to off her now? Why after her oldest stepchild is married off and is going to take over the family, and she's just going to retire to the countryside to live a quiet life?
Quiet life, maybe let herself get courted.
Perhaps it's because whoever assassinated her didn't know that that was her plan. Maybe she didn't publicize it.
Maybe.
I haven't gotten that far ahead, so I'm genuinely like, that's my supposition, is maybe they don't realize that she's going away to live a quiet life, and maybe they think that she's going to try to maintain control over the house for longer, potentially. But then who would have done it? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't see her relationship with the kids being that bad that he would have done it. Did his
No.
prospective wife do it? I mean, she was kind of a bitch.
It also could have been someone from her family.
Yeah, but then again, what do they gain from it? That's my question, is what is anyone gaining from it other than potentially the new wife if she thought she wasn't going to leave and was going to continue to exert her influence? Like, to me, that seems like the only motive.
But I feel like narratively that'd be kind of like, oh, well, if I'd only known, I wouldn't have murdered you.
Yeah, and I feel like if your
Like,
feelings are that chill, you don't resort to murder.
like it seems like
Blackmail would have worked.
if that ends up being the case, I feel like that doesn't make that makes me kind of feel like the villains are incompetent and not that threatening. just
Right.
gotta find who it is. But
Yeah.
here that's why I'm not sure if that is the case. I feel like there's something else here.
Well, and I can say that while I haven't finished this, I'm definitely further into it than you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she does get heavily involved in politics going forward. So maybe it's just something I didn't see happen to the point I got to.
Maybe.
I mean, that's because this one like Remarried Empress, I thought you'd like a little bit more because it does lean heavier into the politics and away from kind of the romance as the
Yeah.
forefront. Because as far as I've gotten, there's not even really a strong romance plot, and I'm definitely up to like chapter like 40 or
The strongest
something.
hint of romance we got was her pondering potentially being courted before she died.
Yeah, and even that, it was just like maybe, or maybe I'll just be on my own.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't like seeking it out or anything.
No.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting. I think I'm very curious to see where this goes. I think now that it's coming out in paper, I have more motivation to finish it now that I know it's over and it will be coming out in paper. I've pre-ordered the next couple books already. So I'm excited for them to come out. Also, this is another one. This book, like Who Made Me a Princess, is another one. It's printed thick. Like this is not a thin book. This is a thick book, even for a
Yeah.
manhwa.
What is it like? I'll have a page number here.
Because we discussed this, like Abandoned Empress, which we did in like a bulk or two earlier.
283 pages on this one.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, if I go
Abandoned.
to one that were, well, not to spoil it, but are next
Yeah.
off this, I guess no, they're comparable. They're comparable.
No, those are both chunky. The ones you're thinking of are like Abandoned Empress that I still have here at my place. Those ones are only like 100 pages and something. It's like half
Yeah.
the size.
Looking at another off the shelf book here. Did they? I guess. Yeah. Usually, I always the most you'll see like I have a manga here, which is already shorter, like the like
Mm-hmm.
smaller in size, and that's only going up to about 200 pages.
Yeah. So I mean, it contains a fair amount of stuff. Also, if I don't know if you caught it, but the chapters are labeled in arcs. Like part 1, part 2, part 3 of the same arc.
I did not catch that. That said, I didn't really. I don't really read the
You would have only noticed it on chapter titles or chapter pages.
chapter two, the reset I never expected, part two. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're by arcs, which is interesting because then you can kind of see when a storyline is completed and when it's not.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that. I feel like it was probably easier to catch in the manhwa just because it
Because
was
in the
the
manhwa they're labeled
yeah.
obviously at the top, but yeah. I just thought that was something fun to bring up because you can actually kind of clearly define when arcs end in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's all I have for the moment. You have anything else?
I don't think so. I do think that I don't. Mm, I do think that she has a pretty interesting depth of character with kind of the fact because we do get to see her in kind of a number of different situations, and she does kind of tend to modulate her self-expression based on who she's around. Like when she's around the kids and they're fucking with her in private, she tends to be a lot more childish, younger, and a lot more quick to anger, but she really does try to like modulate herself out in public, and she does demonstrate an understanding of kind of etiquette and social structure. So she's got some depth as a character, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Not So Wicked Stepmom. I don't know if you remember that one,
I
but
do remember that one where it's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
you're just not a terrible person. That's your entire character, and
Yeah.
you like clothes.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
It's a little too simple.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my opinion on that one. So I guess we'll see you with our next off the shelf if Nick Nack doesn't have anything more to say.
Nope.
Okay. See you next time.